What we see, what we believe, and what actually is all very, very different. You will agree with me that today's present is tomorrow's future. What if I asked you, what do you think of young India? According to us, what the media shows us, what social media shows us, they are happy, successful, and very, very optimistic. But the problem here is that the truth is completely different. In fact, a journalist with over 15 years of experience, not just her opinion, it's facts, figures, statistics, and numbers show that young India is actually stoned, shamed, and depressed. Bull Market presents the book show, chaptered by Harper. And today we meet a fantastic author, a lovely person with great insights on India, young India, media, and social media. Let's talk to Jyotsna Mohan Bhargava. Hi, Jyotsna, how are you?
All well. Thank you for having me today, Rajiv. I'm looking forward to this conversation and some things about my book, more things about me, hopefully.
A lot about you. When I see you, I remember the late 90s, early 20s. I feel a lot more younger, but you look the same. You look the same. You look the same charm, the same personality, the same poise. It's all the same. Nothing's changed.
No, no, I feel I was a lot younger. I can definitely tell you I need a little bit more makeup if I have to come on screen.
Oh, you don't, you really don't. In fact, what I like about you is the fact that whether it is your skin, whether it's your story, there's no makeup. You speak the fact, you speak the truth. And today, in today's news and today's press, whether it's 9 p.m. in the night, whether it's people shouting, screaming, calling it a debate, and they say what the nation wants to know. I mean, compared to what, the golden era, as you and the team would call it in the late 90s, early 20s, compared to that in today, you know what I've always believed, there was this era. Jyotsna, you know this much better. You've been right in the thick of things. We should trust the media, trust the news, and follow it. Today, when so much has conspired, it's become, manipulative. People look at the news and say, okay, this news is not for us. There's a lack of trust. Don't you think today's press is really off the charts as to what the role of a press should be?
It's very scary, Rajiv, really
Yeah.
very scary what's going on. And honestly, I don't know how to inspire the young generation that wants to get into the
Mm.
media today because, what do you tell them? That there's
Mm.
just so much of fake news or that it's so polarized that, everybody decides
Exactly.
the news for themselves.
Mm.
And,
Mm.
and also on the flip side that it's very fashionable to,
Mm.
keep blaming the media for everything. So anybody who's doing
Yeah.
the right thing, you can't really be
Yeah.
even be the messenger today because it's all the media's fault. So
Mm.
from where I come and where I worked, I mean, this is not how things were, and I don't.
Never should be. Never should be like this, according to me.
Oh my God, things are so different today. And when children say, "Can you please, friends' children, can you help them get an internship into into
Yeah.
a news channel or something?" I'm like, barring where I worked, I wouldn't recommend any other place today.
Madam Jyotsna, one thing that I always find very, I know the brand that you work for, which is very credible, of course. But when we talk about TRP, that's the game, that's the news. Breaking news turns out to be this show, TRP number one of the week. I mean, that's not the nation's breaking news. That might be your business's breaking news or your channel's breaking news. That's not news to cover the country's prime time hour. But anyways, all said and done, tell me today when you look at the media, the press, the news that comes out, it's so obvious. It is tailor-made. It is one-sided. It is controlled. It's very, very obvious. It's not a party I'm talking about. It's the trend that's happened. There's no one person to pick. So if you say, my channel or my company was the only one that's dipped in milk and everyone else is dipped in some other thing, I mean, the industry has become that way. So that's what it is. So you look at today's media and that time's media, what is the change? What do you think made this change happen? Power, pressure, money, politics? What happened?
I'd actually say one man. but I'm not
I
going to
got that.
the one now.
I got that. I got that. So basically, no channel is Atmanirbhar. That's all.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's a shame because I've also worked with him,
Yeah.
right? And no, I actually blame him for a lot of what is going on. But it's also people like us, yeah, Rajiv, the educated
Yeah.
people. If we can't figure out what is right from wrong, and we're easily convinced. So it's two sides today, right? And it
Yeah.
it it all depends on which side you believe in, and you believe in that news,
Mm,
whether it's right,
mm,
it's wrong. I mean, the kind of hate that we have, like educated people,
yeah.
like relatives, who will talk
Mm,
about so much hate for a community here. And then I look at them and I say, but your own children, they're a minority in the US. I mean,
mm,
think about it. Think about if someone is treating them the way you are treating a minority here. I don't have very many expectations from them today. I mean, there's
mm,
so many of
mm,
them who are talking about emergency ho jani chahiye. There should be emergency. Then only
mm.
we'll be fixed. You don't
Yeah.
understand the repercussions. But the moment your Gymkhana club membership is going, you're suddenly like,
Mm,
oh my God. So I
mm.
think that the middle class of our country has a lot to answer for, honestly.
Well, it's strange that your journey from Delhi to Dubai and now on Chennai Live, this journey, you're still so connected to the people. You know what? One thing that I would like to speak. I'm purely a common man who lives by the news, right? We create entertainment, we create content from Chennai Live, but our job is basically to value people's opinions, take their opinions. So we discuss, we debate, and we allow people to decide. That's what your job, or that was exactly the job of the press to do. But today, what happens is they debate, they decide, they discuss, and we just need to follow. So don't you think it's become like, we're just feeding information to you? We're not giving you information, we're giving you direction. Isn't that the line that the press is on?
Either you're in or you're out. Either you are at the border yourself,
Yeah.
or keep quiet, right? I mean, I don't know. I mean, or which way, or you sit on the couch and give gyan. But that's how it is
Yeah.
today. It's nasty.
I started the show by saying nothing has changed, and you remain the same in terms of speaking exactly what's on your mind. I really appreciate that. We thought we'll have a warm up. By then we get heated up and we start talking about the book. But this was not a warm up. This was a heated up talk
Oh, that's
already.
scary.
But not necessarily that I agree with you on everything, Madam Jyotsna, because your book is something that I've read books that are bedtime stories, right? You read them and you fall asleep. This book, when I read at about 9:40 p.m. in the night one night a few weeks back, it woke me up. It literally woke me up to certain facts, certain numbers, certain stories that you claim you have witnessed, you've investigated, and you brought out. Now, before we go into the stories, you are basically, for those who don't know about this book, I must be extremely clear and tell all of them that this is about the tweens and the teens of India. We look at things in terms of media, we look at things in terms of social media and what people want us to believe. But the story or the real fact is so much more different. And Jyotsna, you've done an amazing job of actually getting and digging all of this. Now, out of all this digging, firstly, I want to ask you, why did you start this process? Why did you choose this really hard hitting, very, very sensitive, and I must say controversial subject? Why did you choose this? Did the mother in you incline you there?
Rajiv, combination of a few things. Yes, that
Mm,
motherhood part is a little bit of it, for the simple fact that
yeah.
some years ago my daughter got bullied very badly in school, and it was a physical bullying, the kind that you
Mm,
actually think boys are doing. Pick up the girl from the neck and keep flinging her to the door, to the wall, to the just because she was petite and she had just joined the school and she'd made it to the school team within a month. And all those who'd been in the school teams.
sorry, but where was that? Was that in India?
Yes,
Was that in India?
in Delhi.
In India.
Yes.
Mm,
And simply because kids have been there longer, and how dare this new
mm,
kid just walk into the team. And so I mean, it started with that, and I was writing already at that point. And so I started writing about kids a little bit more, to pay attention to
mm,
the kind of stories I
mm,
was beginning to hear. And
mm,
I actually heard the fact that I think it was also before that, just to rewind a little bit, Rajiv, I've got two daughters who are
yeah.
now 12 and 8. But ever since
Mm,
they were young, I was fascinated with the fact that everybody around them had a gadget. Everybody, they've
Exactly.
kids, five, they've been gifted an iPad, they've been gifted a phone, they had
Mm.
television sets in their rooms. And I was
Their own Netflix account, their own Netflix account.
like,
Yeah,
and
it shocks me too.
I
Mm.
mean, I would be like, where is this taking these children? And where is it
Okay.
taking the parents, right? Who have
Mm.
given everything away at such a young age. So, I started digging in a lot at that point as well. So I was already, I think when this happened with my daughter, I was already, it's like my eyes and ears were open. In this generation, there's just so much going on, and we're just not taking it seriously, because I think as a
Yeah.
society, we don't really take anything that happens with the children that seriously. But the times
Correct.
have changed, and the social media generation is completely different. Their issues and the issues are very real at some point, right? Lots are exaggerated, lots are superficial, but I think I just found that we were not giving it enough attention. And as a society, I don't know if
Mm.
I think the book always had this undercurrent, Rajiv, that as about a society that
Mm.
does not take changes very openly and easily,
Mm.
and yet there's a generation that has completely changed, that is very
Mm.
different from how we were. I'm
Mm.
talking about me,
Correct.
not you, and
I just look a bit too young. Nothing else. Okay, go on, ma'am.
so
Yeah.
I think it was a combination of all these things to try and understand that there's just, is it just sensationalism when a boys locker room story happens, and then
Mm.
we're talking about it for 2 days, and yet, I mean, no one's talking about it anymore, right? So
Exactly, exactly. So what we dwell on is basically news that surges, not a news or a story that concludes. We're very happy breaking the news. The problem, I start this show very intentionally with media, madam, because your connection is from there. But a lot of the mindset that we are going through is social media and media. So when they use this word called viral, the very fact of viral means it's a temporary rise because it's going to come back down. You put in a lot of time and effort. This is not an easy job that you've done, I must tell you. It's very easy to sit back and copy paste articles from Google with stats and figures. You've done everything by yourself, and you publish something which I must tell you has come too late. Had this come in 10 years earlier, would have been brilliant. But still, the problem, Madam Jyotsna, I think it's still ahead of its time. People are not ready to accept what you have said, and that's what you're fighting. And that shocks me that you have actually gone on the ground, got the reports, and people are still in denial. How foolish is that? It is foolish.
it's rampant. It's rampant, Rajiv. It's rampant, and that's why when we were talking earlier, and you were talking about how I didn't write this from my own personal way, and that was
Yeah.
because I was, and the publisher, the editor, and I, we were both anticipating ki, there's going to be lots of denial. Let me not put myself here. Let me give you
Yeah.
as many facts as I can, as many stories, because you can't turn around and then say this is your opinion. It is not my
Correct.
opinion. I have given you so many stories, and yet there's
Facts, figures, numbers, all real. All real.
Tomako Lelo. But the point is, even then, I think one of the first reactions I got was on Twitter, a dear uncle who said, "This is Western bullshit, Ji." I said, "Ji, I have written this book precisely because you say it's Western bullshit. I have written it for people like you. What have I exaggerated? Have I exaggerated the Facebook numbers? Have I exaggerated the vaping epidemic on the cover of Time magazine? What is it that I have exaggerated? I haven't
In
exaggerated.
fact, I loved what you said about gaming. No one has actually gone deep into that. And the way you brought that story out, I was like, man, I never even thought on those lines. Education doesn't teach you this, man. The school that we go to, the degree that we carry with us, and the jobs that we apply for don't teach you these small things of living. They teach you how to just make a living. They don't teach you life and living. And these are hardcore things.
I say that all the time now. When I'm having this talk in schools and counselors and teachers, and I keep telling the schools, you may not like what I'm saying, but
Mm.
you have to go beyond textbook teaching today. The times have changed.
Exactly.
At some level, because the children are not being able to communicate with the parents. It's the schools that now have to play like a surrogate role, and they have to embrace more life lessons. But
Mm.
Rajiv, while we're talking about gaming, I want to tell you that a lot of my case studies also came out of Chennai. for gaming specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of it came out of Chennai, and these boys who were telling me that a lot of North Indian girls play, but these boys are all playing in Chennai. So, but anyway,
Oh, the Chennai boys are quite players.
everything in balance. Everything is good in balance. But I have to tell
Exactly.
you that I wrote gaming as a final chapter. I wrote it right in
I
the
know.
end, thinking I don't have too much content for it. It's not
Mm,
going to be at par with my chapters on bullying or body shaming or drugs. But to be
mm.
honest, it came out much better.
Let's talk a bit about the book. Now, obviously, we've covered chapters of it. I don't want to go too deep into it because people, I want them to pick it up and read it for themselves. When you read it is when you'll actually absorb it. So, but let's talk about this. When you go and you met these people, I know one thing for sure, ma'am. You thought it's going to be a book for the teens, 18, 19, 20, 21. You believe that's where the problem lies. As you dug deeper, you realized it goes very young. Correct. So tell me, when you interacted with them, what were things that you and me did not know before that you brought to the limelight? For example, addiction to drugs, the peer pressure, the amount of depression. Now, depression is not just an urban thing. It's not just a rural thing. It is society. Society is one country. Not like what the press says. This area is more important than that area. Maharashtra is more important than Tamil Nadu. We don't think so, right? We believe it's a country. So what blew you apart actually?
Self-harm and mental health. I think the two
Mm,
ones which gave me sleepless nights, the casualness with which a lot of children told me how they self harm because they're not getting something, or because, I mean, the way this girl who told me about overdosing because she didn't make it to the student council, or somebody
mm,
who cut her wrists or drank phenyl because she was photoshopped at a party and didn't look nice and she wasn't meant to be there. So the casualness and the ease with which they're playing with their lives, I would come back and I would be like, I'm talking to such intelligent, smart children who I can't fault even one of them, Rajiv. Okay, when I spoke with them,
mm,
not one of them. I honestly wish them the very best because they came out as such well behaved, intelligent, smart children who have so much going for them. And yet,
mm,
again, it's that social media world, right? Where everything is that validation is so quick and so fast that
mm,
you're not even thinking before you're slashing your wrists, or,
mm,
auntie, we're just trying to bite our lips and bite our cheeks,
mm,
and, just the intent is to for it to bleed, because bleeding then
mm,
causes pain and we want to feel the pain. And I asked every single child, why do you want to feel so much pain? Why is there so much angst? And so
mm,
it's a bit of a, this generation's a bit difficult to understand, because on one hand they're very fearless, and on the other hand
mm.
there's so much angst and they're so sensitive that they can't handle that even one friend is got a boyfriend and we're not getting the attention, so let's slit a wrist or let's slit our arms. The other one was, of course, body shaming, and the kind of stories were, the mother who's telling me that if she hadn't taken her child to the doctor had said that another 4 months and your child wouldn't have survived. These kind of stories were heartbreaking, Rajiv. I mean, I
Uh,
spent many sleepless nights thinking what, these children who are being hospitalized because
mm,
they've been bullied, they've stopped eating, they've gone on the drip, and, how do you reach that? So I think the pressure of this generation, I mean, there's peer pressure. We've had peer pressure in school. We've had some sort of bullying. I mean, I remember going to college being bullied, and I kept laughing at the girl who was bullying me because I knew her and I knew she hadn't recognized me. And she kept saying, why are you laughing? So I could laugh
uh.
my way out of being bullied. But this doesn't happen today.
Yeah, I mean, it's become a race for likes and followers, and you're in the hunt of acclamation, instant approval is what people are on the hunt for. But man, we very conveniently put the blame on social media, technology, and apps. I've read your book, and I find that quite convenient. I'm trying to just balance the conversation, and I hope you don't mind. A difference in opinion. I see that you say social media has this problem. There are few apps that are so bad for people. YouTube is such a disaster. It exposes you to way too much than what you should be. I think what you're trying to do is you're shooting the target, which could have been a brilliant target. You're shooting the messenger, not the message. You're just trying to cut down things that actually can be a boon or a bane, depends on how you use it.
Can I interrupt?
Yeah,
No,
sure,
I,
sure,
I,
sure.
I think, Rajiv, what I did say along with that is that if all of these are harnessed properly, are harnessed
Mm,
responsibly by the parents, then there's a different outcome. I've said that all along, that a child who has, who's on Instagram at the age of 10 versus a child who's on Instagram at the age of 16, there's a huge difference.
huge difference,
It,
huge difference.
it's the responsibility that comes with it. It's the maturity that comes in dealing with what there is out there. There will always be the good, there will always be the bad. And it is the ability of the child to handle it only if your parent has told you that there are predators around, there's privacy concerns, don't give your passwords out, don't just click on any hyperlink that comes on YouTube.
Mm,
So
mm.
that is what I have always said as well in the book, that giving your child that gadget at the age of 6 7 versus giving.
Disaster.
Exactly. And I keep telling my daughter this, my elder one. I said, look at the wonderful things. There's a 12-year-old who's now started a website on bullying because she was bullied.
Mm,
The people who are, I know, who are still having weed, and yet they know
mm,
they're doing
mm,
something wrong,
mm,
but they're doing drug
mm,
awareness so others don't get stuck into the whole addiction part.
mm,
Parents and adults taking that selfie,
mm,
that we are not
mm.
seeing that a child is sitting doing exactly what we're doing. And I think that needs to
Correct.
change.
Mm. Very, very, very well portrayed. Very well said, ma'am. I must say you've answered it effortlessly. But as we move on now, tell me, A is what are the parents doing wrong? Of course, technology has changed, awareness, communication, information, all that's at a snap of a finger or a press of a button, as they call it. But what's changed, and where would you actually point fingers at parents? Is it the fact that they need to work as well? They can't devote time, to the child and to the profession as well. So is it that? Is it the convenience that I give you something and you're going to be quiet for some time? I can't handle more pressure. Hmm.
No, I think it's a combination. Again, I think it's very tough for where mothers are also working. It's very very tough. At the end of the day, we all come
Hmm.
back, we're tired. We know you need everybody needs their
Absolutely.
space. Everybody needs that one cup of tea just to get that downtime. And you'll have a child standing on your head saying, "Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do this? Can I do the fifth time?" You say,
Hmm.
"Just go do it." But the point
Yeah.
is that times have changed, and I think it needs a little bit more out of us today. It does. It
Yeah.
needs for us to say no a little bit more than we are. We find it very
Hmm.
easy to. I find, again, these are very
Hmm.
personal. The book is
Yeah.
not
No, no,
parent
sure, sure, sure,
Rajiv. So
sure.
this is very personal. Nobody has to listen to what I say. Nobody has to follow it.
Hmm.
This is not in the book. But my opinion
Hmm.
is, after speaking to so many children and parents, has been that as parents, we tend to give in very easily. We tend to give into
Hmm.
that iPad very easily. We tend to give into that phone very easily
Hmm.
because their friends have it. And I think
Yeah.
we have to learn to say no, no, no. As I said in the
Hmm.
book, as Steve Jobs says,
Hmm.
when you say no, you piss off a lot of people. But I
Hmm.
think we need to piss off the little ones a little bit.
Hmm.
And I think it's
You know where I see this, ma'am, coming. What you say is a very, very simple point. It's a very simple point. But what happens is when one child is denied and the other three friends are doing it, that leads to a rebellious approach. It would be so much more nicer. Social media, like Instagram and Facebook, has a age limit. You start from the age of 15 alone. I think these small nuances at least will make the kids realize there are loopholes in everything, right? There are loopholes in everything, but at least they will realize that this is not a zone for them.
I
That needs to come in, is what I think.
I totally understand, but we've seen where Facebook has gone and taken us as adults. That's where it's going to take these poor children. But I hear you when you say about the peer pressure, and I see it.
Mm,
I see it with my
mm,
daughter, Rajiv. So I put in my money where my mouth is. My
mm.
elder one is 12, and she's not
Mm.
on any social media.
Oh,
And it's
great.
not to say,
Congratulations to you. You've done a great job.
no, but that's not to say I don't get pressure every single day. Okay, there's pressure. Why can't you give me? Let me be on Snapchat, and I'm looking at her horrified, like, Snapchat. Really? You read the book, right? You
Your
read
mother
that
has
book.
written that book. Can you follow it?
So she went to school one day, and she said, the teacher asked us, how many of you are not on an Instagram account, don't have an Instagram account? She said, only 5 hands went up. I was one of those. Everybody else had
Mm,
one. And then she kept saying, okay, TikTok, TikTok, TikTok. So I'll give you a real life incident. And a few, what is happening is that play dates became about TikTok. right? And that's what's changed. So when you have play dates, because everybody got stuck inside, and you couldn't
Mm,
go out, everybody just always had a gadget in their hand. So here,
mm,
every kid was on TikTok, right? And they would come back and
mm,
say, nobody plays with us because everybody's only doing TikTok dances. So my husband, who's slightly easier in these things, he's like,
mm.
come on, let's give it a shot. Okay, so we were like, okay, we'll give you a TikTok account. It's a privacy account, only your friends. So their answer. So what's the point? Who's going to be watching us?
Yeah.
So that's what works in their mind, right? But anyway, that's not the end of the story. We gave it to them. We gave it to them, Rajiv, and we let it go. And we forgot about it
Mm,
because I know my children, they forget about these things. It's a
mm.
peer pressure. Humko karna hai, we need to,
Exactly.
but they're not interested.
Just they want the badge. They want the badge. I have it too. I did it too. That's
But
all.
they came back one day, very quiet and very sheepish, and said, "Can you take it off?" And I said, "Why?" They said, "No, Mama, just take off. We don't need it." And I said, "Why?" So, I didn't say anything. And this is something I learned from a podcast, a life coach. And she said that don't keep questioning the children every 2 minutes. They'll never give you the answer. Sit with them. They will not talk to you for half an hour. Suddenly, out of the blue, they'll tell you what's bothering them. So I realized that. I kept quiet. In the evening, I went and sat with them. Half an hour later, you know what happened today? I'm like, no, tell me. So while they were there, privacy accounts, Rajiv, TikTok, a live suicide got streamed. So 10-year-old
Oh,
kids watched a live suicide on TikTok.
exactly.
And it's
Yeah.
different. The 16-year-old must still be able to handle it. It's still something that will scar a 16-year-old. But imagine a 10-year-old so sensitive to it.
Exactly.
There's a reverse trend going on in the West. A lot of parents, I've met parents who've shown me their Nokia phone and say, this is what we have at home. This is what our child is going to get. You give them, you
Mm.
give them a regular phone. You don't have to give them a smartphone. You just want to call them.
Let the kids be smart. Let the phone be unsmart. Correct. You
Absolutely.
choose either the daughter or the device. One of them will be smart. Choice is yours, right?
Kids that
Okay, that's very well
are
explained.
yeah.
No, really, I'm very thankful to you, honestly, for taking me into the personal side of your story. It's not the most convenient thing for anyone to share, stories of their personal life or family. You've done that, and I'm very glad that people start connecting that this has happened to you, and that's why you portray it and you say it, right? Now, tell me a bit about education, ma'am. That's one thing which ought to change. You mentioned that in a flyby sentence where you said that it cannot be the way it was. So you have met the teachers. You have suggested and recommended what has to be done, what could be done, the benefits of it. What's lacking in the so-called education system? It's not education. It's basically read and write. That's what we do in school.
I think firstly, sex education, we need to ramp it up.
Hmm,
We need to ramp it
hmm,
up now.
hmm.
I mean, so many children, they still tell me it's token. Some kid I spoke to, she said, I changed 3 schools across the country and not once did I get proper sex education. So
Hmm.
I think we think we're doing enough. We're not doing enough. We're just at the
Yeah.
starting line when it comes to that. I think schools think that they have to, that it's part of the curriculum in a way now. So it's something that has to be taken and done with and gotten out of the way.
Just say it and tick it. That's all. Just we're done. We did it.
Yeah,
We did it. We
yeah,
taught you what it is. We
yeah.
told you how it's done. Over. Finished. Yeah.
Exactly. So I think lots more needs to be done because I think we're underestimating the children today. So I think
Hmm.
that birds and bees conversation that we keep thinking we'll have at 12, 13-year-olds, I think it needs to start at 7, 8, 9, very early today. Because by the time they're 12, 13, they pretty much know much more than we think they know. They know it all.
Correct. True.
And to be fair to them, if they do know, it is our responsibility as parents and as schools to make sure they know the right thing.
So give direction to that. I think that's what you are going by.
Things like consent we don't talk about. We need to speak about these words. Okay, I mean, there's porn addiction. We need to bring these things out into the open. You need to tell girls, okay, these are clinics where you can go. Don't go to a bad clinic that will be counterproductive because they are going to go. If they find themselves in a situation where there's nobody to speak to, they are going to speak to friends and reach the first thing that they can find. And if we're not
Correct.
telling them what happens, we're not talking about
Yeah.
abortion, we're not talking about safety, we're not talking about pills. I think we're in a bad place today because we can't keep thinking this doesn't happen in our society because, newsflash, it's happening everywhere. And it
Everywhere.
doesn't, and across, like you said, there's no this part or that part. It's just one whole India and one space for children where they're experimenting, and they're experimenting more today for the simple reason the exposure is more. So
Mm,
the other thing I find that schools need to up is the counselors on campus.
mm,
I think they have upped it. Many schools have upped it, but the cases have also gone up. And
yeah.
so when you balance it out, you're back to being where we were.
Mm,
And I think a
mm,
lot of children, the other thing again, Rajiv, which is gone beyond the teens, is 20-year-olds. The amount of
mm,
mental health issues in the 20-year-olds, those in colleges and middle 20s. I've got so many calls and so many messages from those in their 20s who said that thank you
mm,
for writing something for somebody to think about, that these things
mm.
exist in the young ones, and there's a lot, and they all talk about how they don't know where to go.
However, we use this word depressed very easily. Oh, she broke up with me. I'm depressed. Oh, I didn't get the job. I'm depressed. Being disappointed and being depressed, that they've not understood. I think that education, depression education will make people a lot more joyous.
That education is missing, because otherwise in schools what
Yeah.
happens ना, वो तो पागल है, उसको depression, वो तो
Yeah.
पागल है. Get it over with, done. One line, get it done. But it's a reflection. If you just go back a few months, Rajiv, and see how that Sushant Singh Rajput case played out, we talked
Mm,
about everything under the sun except for his mental health.
mm,
And then finally, when we realized that okay, there is nothing else to tap here, everything we have tried to divert, it is mental health.
mm,
We only, all the shows were only, and I was on one such show, and it was only about adults. And I think,
mm,
unfortunately, it's very sad because a lot of children actually, it becomes like a cycle, though, no? Drugs,
mm.
mental health, and this is what is going on today. I mean, a parent told me, she said, I don't know what came first, whether the drugs came first or the mental health issues came first. And that
Correct.
counselors will tell you that there is a link between the two.
Definitely. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so all these things need to be explained, educated, discussed. And the more it's discussed, the more it's understood, the more it's handled better. There's one more thing as you ponder about social media, ma'am. This is something which is very personal, and I would like to, you to add value to that. We live in this world where we think memeing and trolling is damn cool. This has become a trend. And the problem is when one person creates it and everybody starts liking it and sharing it and following it, you don't realize the impact you have on the other person. Now, this is something that I've seen personally. You spoke about one gentleman who controls the media, right? You spoke about one person. I would say, on the contrary, his opposite, Mr. Rahul Gandhi, is still someone who's really, really, they given him the tag of Papu, and people don't take him seriously. And can you imagine the state of that man? Which even today he comes out and voices his opinion. People can have their own opinion on what they think of him as a politician. As an individual, I think this man is remarkable to come out, still voice his opinion, still be strong, still take every challenge head on. That's not simple. That is mental strength.
Oh, no, I totally agree. The other day, I have to tell you, I was telling a relative of mine who forwarded one of those Papu jokes to me. And I said,
Mm.
please let me tell you that this is a game that is being played. Okay, this is an image that has been created to make
Exactly.
you look like this, and y'all are buying it. And that's what I meant when I said
Exactly.
the educated class is just bought into it. I said his
Yeah.
counterpart, would never. Have you ever would he take even one forward like this lying down? I mean, hats off to this guy. On
I think so.
really, it's not easy, and it's a game. And I think the problem again, like I say, educated people, when they buy into a narrative so
Mm,
quickly, and they've bought
mm,
into this narrative, and it's a job well done.
mm.
It's a lot of money that has been put into bring out this image, this Pappu image,
It,
right?
it's a marketing masterpiece. If someone has to learn how to market a product, then this is one theory. If you adapt, I think it's doing fairly well. But you can fool the people for some time. One election, two election, three. How long? You know? So, ma'am, as we talk about, this is one issue. Depression is something not spoken about. There are other issues that you brought up through your book, which is, vaping is one thing, which people, oh, it doesn't happen to us, doesn't happen in our state. One is the peer pressure. Even people, when they achieve so much, suicide is something that's going on, and people don't take that seriously. Crimes against women is something that's taken like it's a normal story. Before it used to make headlines, ma'am. Today, then it made page three. Today, you need to search. It's there. It's still happening, but it's not making the news. When something becomes common, it fails to make the news. So in these issues, what did you see? And tell me the solution. We understood the problem through your book brilliantly. What's the solution?
So hard, so hard. See, I mean, suicides, as I wrote in the book, I think 15 to 18, it's the
Yeah.
biggest cause of death amongst children today. It's the peer pressure. I think crime against women is a different ball game, because crime against women is rural, it's urban, it's Dalit more than anything else. And I think how do you, I don't know. I mean, I write a lot about crime against women, Rajiv. It's very, very close to my heart. And every time I'm just like, things don't change. I mean, we come up with slogans and we say we'll do this, we'll do that. I mean, how have you got girls tied on a tree dead? I mean, nothing is changing for us. And the problem again is because I think we don't punish fast enough. We do not punish at all. I mean, when something takes
Correct.
such a long time to punish, it loses the impact. Even with
Exactly.
Jyoti or Nirbhaya, it took 7 to 8 years to punish them. I mean,
Yeah.
okay, they were punished eventually, but the point is, it lost the impact that could have happened if it had been done immediately. That we are punishing you as soon as you commit a crime. And I think in a
Yeah.
misogynist society like ours, which again, time and again, I find it doesn't change. I think that kind of
Mm.
message just needs to go out even more, because I mean, I get a lot of these misogynist messages. I do. I get told again for the kind of stuff that I write. I get told for the name of the book. If nothing else, oh,
Mm.
you're stone shamed and you're depressed. Chalo, let's dismiss. Chalo, bol diya to bol diya. But I think that this we have to our systems have to change. That kind of backlog in cases is not helping the women in our country, and the kind of peer pressure that we're putting on them in urban setups to be something that they, and this I think is everywhere. I think it's in an educated family where you're expecting the child to do exactly what you want them to do, go to good schools. Pressure's high.
Correct. You are judged very, very critically. You're judged with a sword, not with an eye. You're judged with a sword. How dare you? Because nepotism has become like a crime. If you're born to someone who's famous and successful and well established in that field, it feels like you have no right to be a part of that. That's the mindset. There were two more things that you spoke about very, very nicely, which is adaptation of YouTube apps and the ease of technology. Can you tell me, when it came to YouTube and the apps that were exposed, the fear factors that you got and the solution that you see? There were some apps that people don't know about, but once you get to know it, once it's installed in your phone and in your life, it's dangerous. It's really a virus that eats into you as a person. Can you dwell on that, please?
In very layman terms, and it sounds very
Mm.
stupidly simple when I say that as parents and as adults, we need to up our tech game. I really think
Yeah,
we do. I think we're so used to dismissing what goes on with our children, saying, "Yeah, these are tech babies, this is digital, they know everything without knowing everything." And then, and I do it myself sometimes. Oh my God, I'll call my child who's not on Instagram and say, "Oh my God, this is not uploading on IGTV. Can you help me?"
mm,
Bam, it's done. But that's not right. And now I've started to figure that one out, that, if I am not on top of the game, how will I know if they are on top of the game or not? And I think that's very
correct.
important for us. As I say, for us, we have to get that toy thing off. That is just a toy,
Mm,
that we must upload first the meal before allowing our kids to take a bite of that meal, or have all the
mm,
gadgets on the dining table, or the fact that, and it's not easy, it's very, for us, at the end of the day, we all just want to unwind with our own gadgets and just chill out. And
correct.
I get that,
Correct.
but I think we have to understand that there's a lot of things that are going on in cyberspace, and we have to understand that unless we are on top of the game, cyber experts, so many of them told me,
Yeah.
Rajiv, that kids have very easy passwords. Kids,
Yeah.
please tell every child that you speak to that they shouldn't have these kind of passwords, and they shouldn't share it with their best friends. Now, only a parent can have this conversation, but a parent has to
Correct.
first know what's going
Know
on.
it.
So when I'm talking to parents who say, "Oh no, privacy is collateral damage," it's part of the game, and
Mm.
we're okay with it.
mm,
then what?
mm.
How do you do it? How can you save your children today? Unless you
I,
unless
so, so,
you.
so, so so what parents take this comfortable blanket and say, oh, that's for the youngsters. This technology or this app or this medium of communication is not for us. But the idea is not to ace the game. The idea is to understand it, not so that you lead your children or tell them what to do. It's to understand and have a discussion. When you have a discussion, everything is solvable. I'm someone who believes that you can solve things, anything, everything across the table with a small discussion and an honest one. Correct.
I say this, and I've said this at all the talks I've done. Conversation, conversation, and more conversation. And like that lady said in the podcast, if they're not talking to you, keep sitting, keep sitting. They will talk to you. Don't keep saying what's happened today, what's happened, what's your problem, what's your problem. Just
Correct.
sit. Just sit, bide your time, and talk. And they will talk, because I've got so many people, so many children, Rajiv, who've written in saying that they don't know how to communicate with their parents today, that they have not had good
Mm.
communication conversations with their parents for almost a year. And can I
Mm.
recommend what to do? So,
It's been a fantastic conversation. I have one last question for you in terms of an author as well. You've written about the teens and the tweens, madam. I do see the problem in today's generation as a lack of heroes. The young adults or the adults, the problem is you don't have that iconic person to look up to and say, this is what I want. We're in the world of social media where the social media, influencers, as they call themselves, are only on the hunt for followers, for some fame, for some recognition, for some controversy, not content. And clickbait is, attack somebody, expose, your great body, wear some fancy clothes. That's not the influence that the youngsters want. I would like personally your book to take on or focus on the young adults and the importance of being a hero for the people. I really look forward to that. If that is something or what's on your mind that's coming up next.
thank you. It's amazing that you're saying this about lack of modern day heroes, because as you know,
I am amazing.
so it's a fun conversation. But I was talking to a friend of mine, and who we do a podcast together. And then whenever
Okay.
we recently started it, but again we're like, oh my god, again we have a woman as a guest. We've got to find some men, and we're not
Hmm.
finding any men heroes at this point. Unless I don't take this personally, Rajiv.
No, no.
You are quite the hero on Chennai FM.
Then I
But,
go on, please.
but
Yeah.
in
No.
the sense that if I honestly, if I look beyond Bollywood and I look beyond cricket, it's very hard. Like I mean,
Exactly.
and I can every single week I can come up with like a woman right now. This girl who's the runner-up on Miss India. I mean, fascinating kind of stories
Yeah.
that we keep coming up with. But that is aspirational India, and I'm sure there are many more
Mm.
heroes there. Many
Yeah.
more who we don't know about, the unwritten stories. There are dime a dozen out there. I mean,
Exactly.
the other day I was, I have to tell you, there was that Budhya Singh who used to run. Do
Yeah.
you remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Hero to
Of
me,
course.
because I'd written an article years ago, and completely forgotten. He must have been off social media or something, and out of the blue. And I said, "Is this really you?" And he said, "Yes, ma'am, I'm here, and I do this and a little bit of running." And I was fascinated. And so I know that there are many stories that still need to come out and many heroes, but I think we need to go beyond the conventional to find stories.
Absolutely. Today the mainstream media tells you heroic stories, but what we need to do is find stories of heroism. And you found that, you portray that, you stand for that. And I must tell you, ma'am, it's been a long time. I converse with many people, honestly. It's my daily job to talk to people, make conversations, create content, present content. But such intellectual conversations, such transparent conversations, such honest opinions, these are rare to find in today's world. When people are trying to create an image, you portray yourself as you are, and that's the best image. Madam Jyotsna, you've been fantastic. Thank you very much. It's been one of my finest conversations in some time. Thank you.
Thank you. That's a huge compliment. Thank you so
It
much, Rajiv. Thank
was lovely talking to you. Thank you. Good luck. We'll stay in touch, and I can't wait for the next book. Hopefully, a little more positive title. A little more positive title will work.
you. Yes,
But I'm looking forward to lots more.
hopefully
Thank you.
something
Thanks for
completely
connecting.
different. Thank you, Rajiv.